Governments and central banks have stepped in with fiscal and monetary stimulus, unparalleled in time of peace. Public sector deficits have helped to mitigate the contraction, but they risk transforming a crisis of excess private debt into a crisis of excess public debt. In the same way, the expansion of central bank balance sheets, the monetary base, prevented a cascade of bank failures, but now appears to have diminishing returns in terms of reflation and growth. Yet more is going on here than just deleveraging. Consider this. The US economy created 2.4 million jobs in the 3 years beginning in June 2009. In the same period, 3.3 million Americans were awarded disabled worker benefits. The percentage of working-age Americans collecting disability insurance has risen from below 3% in 1990 to 6%. Unemployment is being concealed and rendered permanent in ways all too familiar to Europeans. Able-bodied people are classified as disabled and never work again. And they also stay put. Traditionally, around 3% of the US population moves to a new state each year, usually in pursuit of work. That rate has halved since the financial crisis began in 2007. Social mobility has also declined. And unlike the Great Depression of the 1930s, our slight depression is doing little to reduce the yawning inequality in income distribution that has developed over the past 3 decades. The income share of the top 1% of households rose from 9% in 1970 to 24% in 2007. It declined by less than 4 percentage points in the subsequent 3 years of crisis. You cannot blame all this on deleveraging. In the United States, the wider debate is about globalization, technological change, education and fiscal policy. Conservatives tend to emphasize the first and second as inexorable drivers of change, destroying low-skilled jobs by offshoring or automating them. Liberals prefer to see widening inequality as the result of insufficient investment in public education, combined with Republican reductions in taxation that have favoured the wealthy. But there is good reason to think that there are other forces at work, forces that tend to get overlooked in the tiresomely parochial slanging match that passes for political debate in the United States today. The crisis of public finance is not uniquely American. Japan, Greece, Italy, Ireland and Portugal are also members of the club of countries with public debts in excess of 100% of GDP. India had an even larger cyclically adjusted deficit than the United States in 2010, while Japan faced a bigger challenge to stabilize its debt-GDP ratio at a sustainable level. Nor are the twin problems of slow growth and widening inequality confined to the United States. Throughout the English-speaking world, the income share of the top 1% of households has risen since around 1980. The same thing has happened, albeit to a lesser extent, in some European states, notably Finland, Norway and Portugal, as well as in many emerging markets, including China. Already in 2010, there were at least 800,000 dollar millionaires in China and 65 billionaires. Of the global 1% in 2010, 1.6 million were Chinese, approaching 4% of the total. Yet other countries, including Europe's most successful economy, Germany, have not become more unequal, while some less developed countries, notably Argentina, have become less equal without becoming more global. By definition, globalization has affected all countries to some degree. So too has the revolution in information technology. Yet the outcomes in terms of growth and distribution vary hugely. To explain these differences, a narrowly economic approach is not sufficient. Take the case of excessive debt or leverage. Any highly indebted economy confronts a narrow range of options. There are essentially 3. 1. Raising the rate of growth above the rate of interest.